So our first discussion, we're going to look at questions around the theme of making a great visual. Now, what is a great visual? There are so many artists and so many people that don't actually know how to encapsulate a great visual. Stay locked and we're going to get you on board and understanding what really makes a great visual from our point of view. Take care, we'll see you soon on Talks. Okay, and we're rolling. Thank you for tuning in once again. Fespri's back. I'm back, and we're here to delve in more detail into the question that we introduced in the intro. So, Kairo, the question being, what makes a great visual a great visual? What does and how does it link into our previous discussion on what's not good enough? You know, do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So obviously we're talking about what music wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And then kind of we were trying to work out like how to kind of analyze that music and kind of make a structure or a system so that the music eventually gets to a stage where it is great.
Right.
And then after that stage, we made the point that there's no point having a great song when you haven't got a great visual. So we're basically deciding basically expressing our opinions on what is a great visual.
So the next step, basically, once you've got the song sorted to a high enough quality, what makes a great visual that's gonna serve the purpose of a music video?
Serve the purpose of what you want to do, promoting the track and stuff.
I think it can be a lot of things because obviously a lot of people, it comes down to like cameras, and a lot of people think it's just to do with the quality of the footage itself. But I think it's whatever will go with the song to keep your audience captivated. I think that's the first way that I would define it. Like, it has to be appropriate for the music that's going behind it.
Cool. And quite blatantly, give us like examples of what you mean there.
So, like, sometimes when you've got songs that are, let's take it rap for example, when you've got those raps that are not so much about the glitz and glamour, and you've got something that's quite deep. So when artists are getting deep about stuff that's happened to them, like sometimes those visuals, it allows you to be a lot simpler. So now you can still go for a simple video because everyone's taken purely by the words. Whereas sometimes you've got a more, how can I categorize it, exciting track, and it's like if the track is already exciting, when I'm watching a video I need something to match that. So that's perhaps where you're gonna pull out all the stops to make sure that it's the very top of what it can be. But yeah, what do you think?
So just before I even answer your question, I just wanted to sum up what you were saying. So you're basically saying that the genre of the music, you must identify that to then effectively showcase that through different codes and conventions when creating your visual product.
Not genre. I wouldn't say genre.
Cool.
Because still within rap, like, you could use a bunch of different approaches.
Yeah.
But just the feel of the track. I think the like, what are you trying to make me feel with the music in the first place? And I think that's where it goes, because the visuals are all about storytelling. And really at its heart, music is about storytelling. And it's just marrying them together. So the same way that in a movie, you might use a particular, like, there is a time and a place to use a shaky camera, for example, to convey certain emotion. Or there is a time and a place to use a very harsh lighting versus a soft light.
Yeah.
And I think it's just exactly the same with music. You almost have to just think of it as like the music is the script. And so then you need to create a movie that matches the script.
Exactly.
And that's probably, I've never even thought about it like that before, but that is probably the easiest way for me to summarize it.
Yeah. Sick. So the music is the script and the movie is essentially what you're going to create as a result of having a script. So you've got a great script. So you asked me my opinion now. You've got a great script, you've got a great track, and you want to create a great visual. To me, a great visual, what it does is it encompasses the entirety of the emotions. Now, how do you encompass the entirety of emotions that a track encapsulates? how I like to see it is basically through layers. So if we think about like some of the best media that we've taken in as human beings, it's usually touched us not on just a surface level of it looks good, or that person acted well here. It usually touches us on another level. Maybe it's more of an emotional level, and then another level, maybe on a spiritual level, and then maybe on another level where we're noticing there's certain things in the frame that urge us to feel certain things. An example I could use is like when looking at slave films, like black slave films, when you see like the shackles, you know, that the slave owner has just taken off of that slave in the field, and you see that the shackles on the table, and maybe before the moment was that person was uprising and maybe, you know, fighting against the owner. Now seeing that again on the table is like, right, so it might sorry, technicals. But yeah, so the different depths that a project has, I feel like when you can effectively shine a light on them and then effectively convey them, you are doing justice to that track, and then therefore justice to your audience. So that is for me what makes a great visual. If you firstly can notice what the track has in terms of its layers, in terms of its cake, if you want to see it as cake, and then you know how to effectively and innovatively portray that message and get that emotion from your audience. I feel like that really what makes a successful visual.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I think that side of things though is very easy to see. So like sometimes when you've got a track that's in depth enough, it's kind of easy to create a quality visual in a way, because as long as you've got all the equipment you need to make it, it is like doing a movie. It's pretty much the same. The track is telling you what it needs. But I think where people are, or where it becomes unsure, is the fact that a lot of our music isn't that deep. So a lot of what I come across, a lot of what the artists are putting out at the moment is not that deep.
And so you get that.
Yeah, and so then you've got this weird place, because it's like a movie. It's like no matter how big of the budget was, when the script was dead, the script's dead, and it's like you don't connect with the movie. It don't matter that they spent 50 mil on it. It's a rubbish movie.
To say to that as a solution, but go on.
Which I'll be glad to hear. And so yeah, that's like when the song isn't quite as in depth. What does it then take? So when we're missing the story element, what do we look for at that point to get a quality visual?
Cool. So I face this issue so much. So as a creative, as someone that hears loads of music, I get loads of tracks. Some tracks naturally resonate with me more on a cultural level or whatever, and some lesser so.
Yeah.
So the ones that lesser give me that kind of clear story, and maybe are a bit more obscure and hard to manage and hard to find. With them tracks, there's a range of techniques that over my years of doing this, I've developed to ensure that I can still get this video done to the highest quality that it deserves and needs. So I'll go through a few of the techniques. The first technique is always note down your initial thoughts. Your initial thoughts are generally going to be the reason that you can get to your end thought, and it's very important for me to note that down. So I always note down my initial thoughts: words, symbols, icons, actors, movies, feelings, colours, people, scenes, whatever. Be limitless. I'll do that firstly.
So that's just to clarify. So is that like you're picking out parts that you can create some kind of story
from,
like
scenes.
Not a story per se, but something to connect it with a visual.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, so that's always my first process.
So even, in fact, just to give a clearer example, so for example, if they mention, let's keep it really simple, like a particular type of car.
Yes.
In a particular colour.
Cool.
Would that be something then that you would pick out? Like,
so,
is it just an object that stands out or a thing that stands out? Like,
so let's say there's a lyric that says, I drove around in my black Ford. Yeah?
Okay.
So I'm not going to write black Ford. But what I'm going to write is the connotations that I think culturally makes sense, not just to me, but to the artist's audience. So what I write down will differ. So, will differ if I'm talking about a artist that is from China and makes classical music. The connotations that I may lean towards may be something that works better with the culture that person is coming from. So always have, your audience in mind. So I feel like I've answered your question. It's not necessarily denoting. So for those that don't know the difference between denoting and connoting, denoting is literally saying something as it is. If you see a black clock, then that is a black clock. If this here is a bottle of water, the connotations are things that you can relate to the thing. So a black clock, you might relate a black clock to death because time is going and it's black. So it's linking in them things.
Like implied.
Exactly. Right. So that's literally the difference between denotion and connotation. But yeah. Do we feel like there's so much more to it though?
There is so much. Visual. Try not to, yeah.
Like
it's difficult. I think.
What's your top three?
Top three what?
Yeah, top three things to make a great visual.
In 2020, because we do have to accept where we're at. For me, I can't accept non-HD because I feel like it's basic. That is to me as basic as having a video. Yeah. So like having it,
unless of course it's on purpose.
Unless it's on purpose, I'm yet to think of a good purpose for.
No, there are good purposes.
Like what?
I've been meaning to try and do it. So like a VHS video, for instance. If I've been wanting to find an old camera. I know we've got one in the house. I'll shoot a video on it. And the reason I want to do that is because I know the emotions that we attach to that form of media, that type of media, the feel of it, the textures that are that come out of that specific way of shooting. So in that instance, if I'm doing it for like, let's say like a R&B folk singer, yeah, I know that kind of media type could be something that the audience could relate to, especially considering the types of topics that might be spoken about in them kind of.
But media. Even then, like. I struggle to see a place where, in terms of, because to me, a great visual isn't just about what you see. It's about what it does, like what was the purpose. And so if the purpose starts off as the music, and then we need to provide a visual for it, there are very few, I understand that there could be an argument made by a very creative director, creative production company for doing it, but like, 99% of the time, there is no good reason for the video to be low quality.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about, not low quality, but
because you're talking about doing it on purpose to as a tool.
Yes,
that's not what I see.
You're talking about just back to
because there you would know
low quality.
Like using a camera that's substandard. Yeah, right. There is a certain place now where my phone can record 4K. Yeah. So there isn't a good reason for it to be on YouTube and I can't click 720p. I can't click 1080. And above that, basic things things like focus and your lighting, to me, are the basics of producing decent visuals.
Yes, exactly.
And those are the basics regardless of what specifics you're trying to do. Because if you've got the lighting, you can now use it however you manipulate how you need to manipulate it. But when I see a lack of lighting thought, for me, that's probably the biggest one that destroys it for me. So lighting. At least the minimum quality camera, like a HD camera is sort of minimum. And then a third part, what makes it for me, I think squeezing some form of story. Because a lot of the time when a visual is incorrect, it even takes me away from wanting to listen to the whole song. So like if I would have just heard it with no visuals, it would have been fine. But then I see this low quality visual that seemingly has nothing to do with the song. It's just somebody living out their dreams, which I think is a trap that artists fall into. They're living out their dreams. They just put a car and this and that, and it's got nothing to do with the song. So I just think then some element of story, whether it's just some element of story. I think if I have to sum it up in three. Yeah, what about you?
So great visual. Firstly, a great visual is story. Yeah. You need something that's going to make the audience feel a certain way now and feel a certain way in the middle and feel a certain way at the end.
So emotion evoking.
Emotional evocation, I guess so. Yes. Number two, what makes a great visual? I guess because the emotion evoking that I was just talking about is kind of linked to story, which is also linked to pre-production. So I'm going to leave that as one.
Yeah.
So really, when I go to the root, what I mean is pre-production. It's attention to detail to the story that you want to tell, even if it's not.
That's F. So really, comes back to what you were saying last time.
Yeah.
Planning, basically.
Planning, yeah.
So thoughtfulness.
Yeah,
in the video.
thoughtfulness
Yeah.
in a video. Also, what makes a great visual, I feel like in every video that you do, you should always aim to do something you've never done before or never seen, which is sick. I feel like when I see that and when I do that, sick. Do you get me? And 3, great visual. Like there's so many technical aspects, but I'm going to 3.
Tough when you just push it
It's
down.
lighting, camera, or at the moment I've got lighting and camera for the 2 elements I'm trying to find. You know what I'm gonna go for? Movement. I'm gonna go for movement because a scene can be shot in so many different ways. Because I've seen things shot in the same location, like by a number of people, but there's only a couple that I like. And I generally feel like the main thing is the way the camera's moving. Obviously, it's to do with the edit as well.
I was gonna say they kind of flow over. It's energy, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like
I think it's the energy of the video because when I think about it, I find myself saying that when I'm reviewing the videos, I'm like, I don't know, but the energy is just off. Like it's not matching. So yeah, that makes sense. Still, that makes sense.
I feel like we can go on forever on that subject. I don't know if we need to do a part 2 to that video, maybe in the near future.
I need to just do a long form sit down and watch through some because I think that's the easiest way to get it across is to watch through because there's so many variants.
Yes.
Like without having a particular song in mind, it's really hard to think of what would make this great or not.
Exactly.
But yeah, maybe we'll have to do another one. But I think that's a good starting place, definitely.
Yeah. So anyone that's listening, how to create a great visual. Myself and Fespri have just given you guys a few examples. If you're not implementing them, I strongly advise you to start implementing them.
Strongly.
And if you are already implementing them, I encourage you to start looking at new ways to increase your creativeness and your quality. We might, when this comes out, if you guys feel like maybe myself and Fespri should go on live, so that you guys can maybe ask questions or get involved, let us know.
Or if you want us to expand on a topic,
or if
I feel like we could talk about this.
We could talk about this for ages.
Probably 2 hours.
And we don't mind. We really don't mind. So this is a new concept, and we're just feeling it out. So we just really want to encourage you to help us, to help you by making it the best way and in the best structure. So if you want us to talk for longer, or if you want us to talk for less, or if you want us to maybe divulge, more into certain areas, or if you want us to cut up the videos in a different kind of format, literally whatever comes to your mind, send us your recommendation and your suggestions. Yeah, we're doing this for you, so work with us. I feel like that's a wrap for that section. But let's just quickly end. Best 3 music videos that you can think that follow the conversation we just had.
I don't know which 3 to pick out because I can't remember which are which, right? But Stormzy's videos off of the last off of his album is what I'm talking about. And his videos right now, because obviously you've asked me the question, it's the first thing that pops in my head. Just the one. I can't think of others that do it for me because when I watch his videos, I feel joy. I feel great feelings towards Stormzy because they look like they're having so much fun with it and there's so much thought put into it. So they often, they'll be on Stormzy, but then maybe they zoom out a bit quickly and now suddenly you see the whole set unfold. And it's like, I just think it's got all the elements. Obviously, it's a high budget video, you kind of expect this.
Of course.
But those are the ones that come to mind, and the lighting is just beautiful.
I think you're right on that. And literally what you just said about you usually expect this from big budgets, that's gonna be another topic. The lack of you see, I could easily go lack of budget, but no, because I make videos on a stupidly lesser budget that are, I would argue,
it's just easier.
More, do you get me? So I feel like a lot of these videos that are coming out from different places, maybe labels or whatever, they have X amount of budget. And it's interesting because a lot of the time I feel like if they don't work, I know how the process goes. They've got to be snappy with their time. But if they just had a minute to not rush it if they could. You know, this is only if they could not, or if they could have more time and put more forward to some of these videos. I feel like a lot of them should be coming out more. We're gonna maybe have a conversation, thinking, is there enough integrity in label videos? Perhaps, you know.
That'd be a good one to talk about.
Is there? Because maybe there is. Maybe I'm missing something, or maybe I'm not. But we can divulge into that later.
Hold myself back from saying it.
Yeah. My favorite kind of music video, I said 3, but I'll just do one. Off the top of my head, he just comes to my head, so I'm just gonna say it. D Smoke, who won the rap game. Is it the rap game on Netflix? But that rap show on Netflix that what's his name? T.I. Yeah, that T.I. was a judge of, and Cardi B and Chance the Rapper. So D Smoke won. He's the first person that just came to mind. So I didn't try to think out like you. First person that came to mind. Why I like his stuff is because firstly the music is sick, yeah, and then the visuals, like, how can I explain it? Like, if the music was a projector and the music video was literally every single thing that should be shown, you know, pixel for pixel, you know, place for place, I feel like his videos just do that. I can't explain it. If there's a texture that it needs to fill, it's the texture. If there's a tone that it needs to underline, it underlines it. If there's a direction it wants you to go in, you go in that direction.
It's a lot of thoughtfulness.
Lot of thoughtfulness. There's a feel. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, his music isn't necessarily the most catchy, but it's thought provoking, and so it does provide a lot of layers, which I feel like they do. They effectively show that in their music videos. He's just the first person that comes to mind. But yeah, there's loads of them.
Yeah. That's it then.
Yeah, that's that. Cool. Well,
sign out.
That's it. It's been a great talk. It's been a great talk on the talks. Kyle's been talking the talk. I've been talking the talk. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and stay tuned because we're gonna come back with another episode next week. Okay, take care.
Bless.
In having a great visual, there's so many elements. We've decided to concentrate on the element of light. In movie sets, they get entire teams just to do the lighting. And we wonder why. Well, hey, if lighting can really move our emotion, there must be an importance to it. Stay locked for this talk.